Hello, everybody. My name is Brenda Gomez, and today I will be covering the closing case, Expansion at East Coast Yachts, and this is found on page 264 of the book. So, I'll be going over the case details. East Coast Yachts is already producing at full capacity. So, with that being said, Larissa has asked Dan to analyze whether the company should build a new plant. She's asking him to analyze the financial viability of the new plant. She wants him to calculate the profitability index, the NPV, which is the net present value, and the IRR, which is the internal rate of return. She has told him to disregard the value of the land for the new plant because East Coast Yachts already owns it, and the goal of this is to determine if the plant will add value. So, a preliminary analysis has been conducted at a cost of $1.2 million. This analysis shows us that the new plant needs an immediate $50 million to start construction, and the next year it will need an additional $32 million. And it has also received a special tax depreciation. A tax depreciation allows the building and equipment to be depreciated for tax purposes. The tax depreciation is a special one on a 20-year MACRS schedule, which determines how much of an asset cost can be deducted for tax per year. Additionally, no sales will be possible for the next year because of the time it's going to take to build. Sales will start at year 2 and continue to grow. The goal of this is going to be to take all of this into cash flows and decide if the new plan adds value. Also found in the preliminary analysis is the sales forecast. As previously mentioned, after completion of the construction, the plant starts to generate sales in year 2. So year 2, it'll have sales of $17 million. For year 3, $26 million. Year 4 will be $34 million. Year 5 will be $38 million, and year 6 will be $42 million. The new plant is expected to be more efficient, and with this, we have results of variable cost at 60% of sales. Fixed costs will be $3.4 million per year, and the net work capital is 8% of the next year's sales. The company's tax rate is 21% and the required return is 11%. Moving on to cash flows. So, to find out how much cash the plant generates each year, I took sales, subtracted variables and fixed costs, and then I applied taxes and added back the tax shield from depreciation to get the operating cash flow. We found that the plant makes more and more money every year once production begins. Next is the net working capital, which is also known as the NWC. This is money tied up in the inventory and receivables, and for this case, the NWC is 8% of next year's sales. My findings were that the NWC steadily increases during the project, creating early cash outflows, but is fully received at the end, providing a final cash inflow. So basically, in the early years of construction, since the company is putting more money into the NWC, those are known as outflows. When the project reaches the terminal year, the company no longer needs the working capital tied up in the operations, so we add it back as a final cash inflow. Now on this slide, you guys can see the total cash flow timeline. With this timeline, we can see that the project has large cash outflows in the first 2 years, as previously mentioned, and is the construction portion of the project. Then it is followed by a strong and rising positive cash flows from year 2 to 6. Year 6 is the biggest year because it includes the final operating cash flow, the full recovery of the net working capital, and the terminal value. The terminal value is where Dan in the book states that he believes that cash flows after year 5 will continue to grow at 3% indefinitely. So, in the book, you can see that Larissa would like Dan to analyze the financial viability of the new plant and calculate the profitability index, the NPV, and the IRR, as I previously mentioned. The net present value basically means, does it make more money than it costs? The net present value adds up all the future cash flows but discounts them back to today using the 11% required return. This tells us how much value the project creates in today's dollars. If the NPV is positive, then that means the project is good. As far as the IRR, which is the internal rate of return, that basically means what percent return does the project earn. IRR is the exact rate for return the project generates. The company requires an 11% as the minimum acceptable return. If the IRR is higher than 11%, then that means the project is good to go and we can approve. Now, as far as the profitability index, this basically means, do we get more out than we actually put in? The PI compares the present value of inflows to the investment. It looks like it's basically like a bang for your buck measure. If the PI is greater than 1, then the project is obviously worth it. So after evaluating the project, all 3 tools show a positive result. The NPV is positive, the IRR is higher than 11%, and the PI is greater than 1. This means that the expansion project creates a value and it is financially okay to say that we can move forward. So the next slide is the sunken cost and the land use. I decided to add this slide in because many times these costs are added into the analysis. However, the cost that has already occurred of the 1.2 million from the preliminary analysis is a sunken cost because it is a cost that has already occurred. According to Ross, the sunken cost should not be included to make the decision to accept or reject this project because the sunken costs are in the past. And as far as the land use, East Coast Yachts already owns the land used for the project. And Larissa says the land would otherwise go unused, so therefore it's opportunity cost of 0. So overall, the numbers all look good. The NPV is positive, so the project makes more money than it costs. The IRR is higher than 11%, so the return is strong. The PI is above 1, which means we get more value than what we invest. We ignore the 1.2 million study because it's already spent. And lastly, the land does not have any other use, so there's no extra cost included. Overall, East Coast Yachts should definitely build the new plant. My key takeaways are to look at future cash flows to see if the project makes money. Use NPV and IRR and PI to judge the project. Also include only include relevant cash flows and ignore any sunk costs and land with no other use. The recommendation in conclusion is to go ahead and build a new plant. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.